fire to the studio mics. Tune in weekly, we're dropping the spikes. Analyzing every punch, every kick that lands. Maniacs in the game, playing with fans' demands. Ken's got the insight, Joe's got the flair. Mapping out the fights will take you anywhere. So grab your popcorn, buckle up tight.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
What's up? Back again, MMAniacs Podcast, joined as always by my buddy Bare Knuckle Ken. What's up, bud?
What's up, man?
Man, so I'm almost back, dude. Like, I've been training this whole time, but not being able to spar. Because remember I was telling you about that D1 wrestler that just wrecked me, dude. But I'm feeling a lot better. I figure like maybe another, as long as I don't do anything to aggravate it, maybe another week, and I'll be back at sparring.
Oh no, sure.
So yeah, but I've been out for about a month already.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to be itching to get back.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today. I was like, there was this white belt, a no stripe white belt, and I was like, man, like maybe I can punish him today. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't want to take the risk, man. And plus, I got to get back, hop in the shower, and get ready for the show. So I was like, I'll just let it go, and because I was talking to this guy, he's a black belt, and he's not at my gym. I was talking to this guy through Messenger, and I was asking him about like, am I really getting better by continually training, like mostly with this dealer, Like I feel like I'm getting better because like dealing with somebody that's constantly in a dominant position on you, it teaches you, better defense and everything. And he was like, I mean, yeah, but he's like, ideally, if you want to get better, you should spend most of your time dominating people. Like you should spend most of your time training against people who you can dominate, so that you can work your stuff offensively and everything. And so I was like, so basically I've been wasting my time. And he's like, no, I'm not wasting your time. Like there's, he's like, you're never a bad with people who, can dominate you. But you don't want to do that every time. Like you got to mix it up, Yep. And so I'm going to take that advice going forward, like I'm still going to train with them, but I'm going to also try to mix it up and train with some guys, some of the newer guys, and try not to feel bad about squashing them, dude. Like,
I was going to say, you've been squashed now for how long by how many different people? I think it's your turn to do a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but like, also my professor is kind of like, he doesn't like to see me sparring with people smaller than me all that much, because I have like such a big weight advantage and stuff. So it's like he kind of wants me to stick with the bigger guys, but unfortunately, all the bigger guys are like either at my skill level or higher. So, except for like I said, there's this one no stripe white belt. He's much taller than me. And he's probably like 210, 220. So I might be able to get away with sparring with him. But yeah, so I'm gonna going forward, I'm gonna try to do that. Like, try to train with some guys who are less experienced than me. I've spent plenty of time being the nail, and it's not like my time being the nail is over or anything, but it'd be nice to be the hammer once in a while.
Yeah, you got to get some type of work there offensively too. Like, yeah, granted, you sitting there getting your ass kicked all the time, it is great for learning how to attempt to defend against stuff and get better at that. But that's very one-sided. Like, yeah, you'll have some damn good defense, but you want some offense to go with it.
Yeah, and my top game is not bad. It's just I don't really get to spend a whole lot of time doing it. So one good thing that came of it, like I would remember I told you before, like I spent, I would say a good 4 or 5 months every sparring session starting from my closed guard. Like I would talk to the guys and be like, hey, can we start from my guard? I've developed a pretty, I'm not going to say good, because as a white belt, nothing you do is good.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a blue belt, it's like you just have a basic grasp of things. You know what I mean? At purple belt, you could start to say like you do some things well. You know what I mean? But my guard game has gotten respectable to where like even guys who blue belts and like there's a 4-stripe white belt. He's going to be a blue belt very soon. Dude's a killer. He wins at all the tournaments and stuff. Like I sparred with him like before I got injured, and he was like, man, he's like, that's a pretty solid guard game you're developing, dude. Like, which that made me feel hella good because this dude's a killer. You know what I mean? And I managed to control him pretty well for probably 2 or 3 minutes, and then he eventually got me. Like he mounted me and arm triangled me, which it's so weird, that feeling of getting arm triangled by a guy that's smaller than you. You know what I mean? Like he arm triangled me, and I was like, son of a bitch, like, but I mean, the dude's a killer. Like I said, he consistently wins gold at tournaments, and he's gonna get his blue belt, and like, I mean, he's been training a little bit longer than me, and he's already probably due for his blue belt. But Professor doesn't really give belts like that, like in the middle of, we have a promotion ceremony generally once a year. So I would imagine this dude's going to be a blue belt with a stripe by that time, when promotion comes. On the other hand, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, nobody's really getting promoted, like, so that means we're probably going to have a promotion ceremony. So I might get my second stripe. Hey. Who knows, dude? Who knows, bro? Like, I'm hoping, because at this point, it's like, bro, I'm 16 months in. By the time the promotion comes, I'll be 18 months in. That you should be able to get 2 stripes in 18 months, because generally guys get it around 12 months. So even with a 6-month idiot factor included, where it's like I'm just not that good, you know what I mean? Like a 6-month suck factor, like you would think like I can't be that far behind people, but we'll see. I'm hoping. So anyways, yeah, dude, we're coming up on 2 really interesting cards. The next one is the Aspinall card. That's going to be a fun one. Although, like I said, I'm actually looking forward to the co-main event more than the actual main event. I think Aspinall should be able to deal with Cyril Gahn pretty easily. But Verna versus Mackenzie Dern is, I'm glad Verna's getting her title shot, and I hope she makes the most of it. I talked to my professor, and I was like, we got like 2 weeks, man. It's coming up. Who do you think's going to win between Verna and Mackenzie Dern? And he said, I think Verna's going to win because she's tougher. And I was like, yeah, like you don't think her jiu-jitsu is better? He's like, I don't know. He's like, Verna's jiu-jitsu is really good, but Mackenzie Dern's jiu-jitsu, that's one I wanted to talk about that fight a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't know too much about Mackenzie Dern. I've seen Verna do some absolutely crazy shit out there, but Mackenzie Dern I'm not as familiar with. She's on level with Verna.
Here, I'll talk for a couple minutes. Here's what I want you to do: go on YouTube and look up Mackenzie Dern highlights, because all you're gonna see is jiu-jitsu, dude. Like Mackenzie Dern she's world class when it comes to jiu-jitsu. That's why she's been able to hang around in the UFC for as long as she has and be like pretty much, a 500 fighter, maybe a little better than 500, is because her jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And I'm of the opinion, I think Verna's jiu-jitsu is better, but I'm a 1-stripe white belt. My professor, that's why I asked my professor. I was like, because he's a 6th-degree black belt, and he's like literally a couple of years away from getting a coral belt, which is there's not even, I mean, I don't even know how many coral belts there are in the world. There's so few, because that's 7th degree.
I've never even heard of a coral belt before.
Well, so that's how it works. Like you go through the belts, you get your black belt, and then every 5 years you're eligible for another rank, another stripe on your black belt. Once you get to 7th degree, it's called coral belt. It's a red and black, like your belt is red and black. So Master Carlson, Gracie Jr., he's a coral belt. But I don't know. I mean, by this point, maybe De La Hiva, like maybe there might be like a couple of Carlson Senior's original students that might be 7th by now, like maybe De La Hiva, but and maybe what is his name? Alonso. He was one of my professor's teachers. Like my professor, when he said Carlson taught me jiu-jitsu, and this other guy, I forget his name. Marcelo Alonso. I don't know why I blanked on his name. He's a world famous jiu-jitsu guy too. Marcelo Alonso. He's like, so Carlson taught me jiu-jitsu. Marcelo taught me how to teach jiu-jitsu. Marcelo has a gym up in Seattle, I think it is, and you can look him up if you want. Marcelo Alonso. He's very, very famous too. He's in that same group with like De La Hiva, like, guys that are like famous in the jiu-jitsu world. But yeah, so there aren't that many coral belts to even begin with. And my professor is going to be one here pretty soon. So I got his opinion, and I'm like, in my opinion, Verna's jiu-jitsu is better. And he was like, I don't know. Like he said, Mackenzie Dern's jiu-jitsu is good. He's like, I don't think jiu-jitsu is what's going to win the fight either way. He said, I think their jiu-jitsu will cancel each other out. Like, I don't see either one of them really being able to impose their will on the other, because both of their jiu-jitsu is so good. He's like, it should be a pretty decent grappling match. Like, you'll see a high-level jiu-jitsu game. He said, but I think Verna's just tougher. I think that Verna's toughness is what's going to win her the fight. And I can't say I disagree. Like now granted, Mackenzie Dern does have a victory over Verna from like 2020. But that was 5 years ago. Like, neither one of them are the same fighter today that they were 5 years ago. So this fight is interesting. And I'm glad, like, we're going to get some new blood, right? Like, Zhang has pretty much waxed everybody in that division that's worth waxing. The rest of them, it's like, I'm glad, because it's like women's strawweight, aside from Zhang, there's no real superstars. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody that's like super famous or popular. Like, there's no Ronda Rouseys or Amanda Nunes type people besides Zhang, right? Like, and even Zhang might not be on that level of fame, but Zhang is starting to get there, right? But what I like about Zhang moving up and giving up the belt is that now you have this the top five let's stick with the top five. The top five contenders in that division, it's like, it's a pretty even division. You know what I mean? Like, you have like Tatiana's really good, Verna's really good. Mackenzie Dern is like, she's good, but she wins a fight, loses a fight. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get to see somebody who might not normally get to be a champion, and I like that, right? Like, it's good for MMA. Because what's gonna happen is, like, there's gonna have to emerge a new leader in that division, a new leader of the pack. You know what I mean? So there's going to be this war of attrition in the top five, and then somebody's going to take the torch from Zhang, and they're going to do what they're going to do. Are they going to have as many title defenses? I don't know. Like, it's going to be tough, right? Especially when there's nobody that's really as skilled as Zhang stepping in there. Like, as good as Verna is, although I will say this, if Zhang hadn't moved up, Verna probably would have been next, and that's a fight I would have liked to have seen. Verna versus Zhang would have been an interesting fight.
Yeah, but it all would come down to Verna being able to take her down. And Zhang Wei Li does have a pretty decent takedown defense.
Yeah, not just takedown defense. She's also got excellent grappling. Like there's not an area in that fight that I think Verna has the advantage. Maybe jiu-jitsu. Like, well, let me put it this way: definitely jiu-jitsu. But when it comes, like my professor says, jiu-jitsu is only done in a gi, right? So it's like this is grappling. It's not really jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu is only done in a gi. But Verna has the jiu-jitsu advantage, but Zhang's grappling is so good that it might neutralize that advantage, right? The submission game. So Verna can box, and she's tough, but Zhang can box.
Well, I was going to say, she's definitely not at the level with stand-up that freaking Zhang Wei Li is.
No, not at all. And that's what I'm saying. There's not an area of the fight that I think Verna has a clear advantage other than jiu-jitsu, but I think that Zhang's grappling could neutralize that. But Verna's tough, right? Mm-hmm. She's tough and she's gritty. Like, and that's why I think the fight's compelling because, like, you know, Verna's not going to give up. She's not going to get, you know, discouraged and just like, fuck it, I better just let her choke me. Or, you know, Verna will still be there. If you don't put her away, she will still be there in round 5 and she will still be trying. So I don't know. Anything can happen, you know. I would definitely favor Zhang in that fight. I'm not.
I was going to say, do you think she can really stand up to Zhang Wei Li's power? Because not only is she good technically, she's one of the hardest hitting women I've seen. Granted, yeah. I haven't seen a shit ton of women fighters, but she definitely draws eyes to her.
No, and that's what makes the Valentina versus Zhang fight so compelling is that Zhang has that power that's the great equalizer, right? Like Valentina is very technically sound. She's an excellent kickboxer, but she doesn't have a lot of power in her fists. Mm-hmm. You know, she's pretty pillow-fisted when it comes to that. But she can kick. She has, dude, her kicks are like a baseball bat. And Zhang has been head kicked before. Like, you remember Rose Namajunas knocked her out with a head kick in the first round. I believe Valentina is every bit as skilled as Rose Namajunas when it comes to that. It's just, yeah. We broke down that fight before, and that fight's coming up, you know, in November 15th. I'm very excited for that fight. But this Verna Mackenzie Dern fight, I'm excited for different reasons. Like, I'm excited that we're going to get a new champion at strawweight. You know, Verna has a chance because Verna's at the tail end of her career. She's like 38 years old, man. Like, how long can you realistically fight without turning into Holly Holm, right? Where it's like you stuck around way longer than you should have and left on a bunch of bad losses, you know, like, and that's not a knock on Holly Holm. Like, she was a good fighter in her time, but she stuck around way too long past her physical prime and, you know, started taking loss after loss after loss. I don't think Verna is going to do that. So if Verna can win the title here, it's like, this is your chance to like build your legacy, right? You have a chance to defend the belt a couple times and then, you know, pretty much you're at the end of your career. Whereas Mackenzie Dern is still pretty young, relatively. So if she wins the belt, and I really do believe the UFC is trying to put the belt on Mackenzie Dern. Like, they really want Mackenzie. She's marketable to them. So I think they really want to put the belt on her. But she's got to get through Verna, and Verna is one tough lady.
Yeah, after watching those highlights of Mackenzie Dern, it's not enough for me to say, oh, you know, she completely matches Verna, but holy shit, she sticks to you like Gorilla Tape. That's one thing that I noticed with her fights, and I didn't see which fight it was, but one of them, she comes across, it hits this girl with a straight, and as the girl is falling down, she's already wrapping her up.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, she's got fantastic jiu-jitsu, and she's very sticky. Like, once she gets a hold of you, it's very hard to get her off of you. She's like a little spider monkey, dude. Like, she's just all over you. It's like have you ever seen like a video of like when a squirrel jumps on a dude and he's like, the dude's trying to pat here, but the squirrel's already like this all over the place? It's like that, dude. Like she's like a little squirrel on you, dude. Like you don't know where to try to defend. But that's not going to rattle Verna. Verna's a black belt, like, and a high level black belt at that. So to me, like you don't get to black belt by not being comfortable in bad positions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Verna, nothing that Mackenzie is going to do is going to rattle Verna. Now, if Mackenzie's technique is good enough that she can, set Verna up, set a trap, and catch her slipping, more power. Like props to her. But nothing is going to like rattle Verna on the ground, right? Like she's like, oh, you got my back? Okay, well, here we go. I'm just going to work. I'm going to defend the neck and I'm going to work on the hooks. And, it's like she's going to be cool as a cucumber in there, dude. I do think Mackenzie, if she creates scrambles, like jiu-jitsu scrambles, that will be advantageous to her because Verna is like, she's good with transitions, but Verna is more like, I want to say Verna's style. I know she's not trained by Carlson or I don't think she's trained by one of the Carlson affiliates, but her style kind of reminds me of Carlson Gracie's style. Like it's very like pressure heavy and, everything is very methodical. It's not super flashy. It's just solid and technical. Whereas Mackenzie is like all over the place. Like I said, she's like a squirrel. She creates these crazy scrambles. And so I think she might be able to, if she can get into those scrambles, she might be able to catch something quickly. But the interesting part of the fight, the most, I don't know. It just depends on what you're looking for, right? Like for me, I like jiu-jitsu, so I'm like excited for that part of the fight because it's rare that you get two people that are so evenly matched in one area of the fight. And so I'll be looking forward to those scrambles, those exchanges, those grappling exchanges. But the stand-up part of the fight is compelling too, because Mackenzie Dern is not the greatest striker. And, Verna's not the greatest striker either, but Verna is technically sound, and she has a good chin. So, I don't know. I mean, it's...
I was going to say, from my standpoint, I don't even want to see them standing and banging whatsoever. I want to see this fight completely fought on the mat because I want to see which one out of these two is the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. Because with me only seeing the highlights there of Mackenzie Dern, I got to give the edge to Verna because I'm more familiar with her. But from what I saw, there's a hell of a match to be had with that.
Yeah. Although your take is not going to be super popular among the casuals. Like, they're going to be like, no stand and bang. What are you talking about, dude?
Oh, hell no. Because to me, when you get two good jiu-jitsu practitioners like this, and I know by saying good, I'm underselling it a bit, but to me, this is like watching a chess match in live action.
Absolutely. But a chess match with blood and, and broken arm.
Kind of chess match.
A chess match where you can get your arm broken. Like, so yeah, I definitely agree. Like, to me, that's the most compelling part of this fight. So if this fight ends up being on the mat for 5 rounds, I'm not against that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm bored. It's like, because it's going to be such a high level chess match that it's like, it only takes one bad move and it's checkmate. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited for that. And, like the rest of the card, let's go through the rest of the card real quick. Because then there's some other news that I wanted to talk about. But so we got, Aspinall and Gone. Neither one of us are picking Gone, right?
No, absolutely not.
I
was going to say, I really like Aspinall. And granted, he still has to make it through this defense to kind of solidify him a little more since he didn't get to beat John Jones for the title since John Jones decided to hide.
Yeah. Trying to set this up to it's not working very well. There we go.
Yep.
Because I want to see the comments. I got a new phone, so like now the comments, like it was cutting them off. What did that first comment say? Something about black belts. I have a black belt not working. Oh, what's up, Ken? You still there? Yeah. So, I guess I'll just go back to this way. So, anyways, what's the rest of that card look like?
You got Umar
Nurmagomedov.
Yep, and then Mario Batista.
So Batista, this is interesting. So Umar is probably the favorite in that fight, but Batista is like basically saying if somehow Umar wins on the cards, that people should just call it what it is, a robbery. Like he's ultra confident that he's going to beat Umar, and I'm not as confident. Let's just say that. But it should be an entertaining fight. Umar is just so good on the ground. You remember Umar and Merab?
Yep.
How compelling that fight was. It was Merab was only able to win that fight because he broke him late. You know, he managed to break his will late. But for the first 3 rounds of that fight, that was a high level grappling match, dude. Like one of the best grappling matches I've ever seen. So we'll see. And then what's the next?
You got Volkov versus Almeida.
Almeida. Okay. So this is a fight. Alexander Volkov is a good fighter. All right. Good, not great. He's a good striker. He has decent ground game. He's tall for the division. You know, and he's grizzled. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time, and he's fought the best. But Almeida is a very, very strong and dominant wrestler, right? So I expect Almeida to take him down and handle him pretty easily. But the question, the only real path to victory I see for Volkov is to catch him coming in. Like, you know, can you keep the distance? If you're Volkov, can you keep the distance? Use push kicks, leg kicks, keep him on the outside and at the end of your punches and try to land something significant. Because if Almeida is able to get him into the cage, it's going to be over fairly quickly, in my opinion. Like, Almeida will take him down, ground and pound him a little bit, and then either strangle him or just get the stoppage by ground and pound. Almeida is a very imposing wrestler, and he's on his way. Like, he wants to be next for Aspinall, and that fight would be compelling. That fight would be interesting. So we'll see. You know, he's going to fight Volkov. What's Volkov in the rankings right now?
Oh, hold on. Let me switch to.
Matter of fact, we haven't talked about the heavyweight rankings yet for a while. Let's talk about give me the top 10 at heavyweight, and let's look at the heavyweight landscape.
You got Volkov is number 2 for heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Cyril Gahn is 1. Pavlovich is 3. Beldaze, I'm assuming is how you say it, is 4. Almeida is 5.
Almeida is 5?
Almeida. I keep freaking mispronouncing his. Cortez Acosta is 6. Sergey Spivak is 7. Derek Lewis is 8. And Ante Delasia is 9. And Marcin Tybura. Yeah, Tybura, he's Polish, I believe, and he's a good fighter. He's more in the, to me, he's like Volkov, right? Like, they're both guys that have been around a long time, solid strikers.
Tabora, he's all right, but that top five, right? So Almeida's 5, and he's fighting Volkov. It looks like they're setting Almeida up. Like, if Almeida is able to get by Volkov, he should get the next title shot. Especially if Aspinall beats Gon, then Gon, you don't have an argument that the number one contender should fight for the belt because Gon will have lost his shot. And then Almeida would be, at least if he beats Volkov, he should at least move up to 2 or 3. So I think that pretty much sets up the next fight, right? Like, if Almeida can get by Volkov, he should be the next fight for Aspinall. So something interesting, 2 interesting things actually that I just read. So Charles Oliveira just fought last weekend, and he beat Mateusz Gamrot, right? And Charles said that he's at the end of his career, right? Like, for his last fight, he basically called out Max Holloway for the BMF belt. So I want to get your take on that. Obviously, like, we both like Charles, we both love Max. Do you think that fight makes sense?
To me, not fully, because like you said, we really like Charles. His jiu-jitsu is absolutely outstanding, but we've seen a lot of these BMF fights, and you don't see a lot of jiu-jitsu going on in those fights. And if it's going against Max Holloway, we've talked till we're freaking blue in the face at how good of a technical striker he is and how accurate he is. We saw what happened to Oliveira. Granted, there's a huge difference in power between Topuria and Holloway, but that both of their accuracy is at least on par, or at least in the conversation of each other. Mm-hmm. And I gotta assume that with how bad Oliveira got beat against Topuria, that maybe it won't be something as devastating as that, but I gotta give it to Max Holloway in this.
Mm-hmm. So here's my thing on it, right? Like, I think the fight does make sense if it's Charles's last fight. He wants to go out fighting a legend. Max already fought Dustin Poirier's last fight, so it sort of gives Max like the reputation of like he's the legend retirer, right? He's the legend killer, and it gives Max something to do, because I don't think people are in a big hurry to see Max versus Topuria again, even though Max is a contender at 55. I don't think people are in a rush to see that fight again. And so it gives Max something to do, because Charles is still a top 5 contender, right? So if Max polishes off Charles, he's right in there to get a shot against Ilya again.
I was going to say the only thing I would say about the Topuria versus Max fight is don't forget that Max, it was changing weight classes for that fight and all that.
Yeah, but do you really think that the fight ends that much differently?
I mean, you're asking me. Come on. You really think I'm going against Topuria?
But I'm just saying, like, just being honest.
I think it's a lot closer of a fight, but I still think it ends the same way.
I think it ends the same way, and I don't know that it's that much closer. I think some people just have your number. Like, Max is a great fighter, and I don't take anything from him, but I just think if they fight 10 times, Topuria is knocking him out 10 out of 10 times. I feel that way. But Max versus Charles is interesting for a different reason, because Max, while he's a very phenomenal striker, he doesn't have that one-punch KO power that Topuria has. So that allows Charles to hang around. And what is Charles famous for, dude? It's like he gets clipped, or he's in the stand-up, they're having a slug it out kind of thing, and then all of a sudden Charles is on your back,
Yeah, but you got to – well, I gotta assume with it being the BMF belt, with all that we've seen that is pretty much being stand up, is he gonna want to take it there? That granted, yes, he has the advantage, and that would be a good way for him to win, but that might call into question a little bit. I wouldn't say his heart, but his willingness to stand in pain when you're fighting for a BMF belt and you take it to the ground.
See, okay, you bring up an interesting point here, right? What is the BMF belt exactly? Now, obviously, you have an idea of what the BMF belt represents to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, to me, it's you stand in the middle of the ring, and we're going to see who the tougher son of a bitch.
So for you, it's the stand and bang belt, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, it's the baddest motherfucker belt. So for me, it's like you can't forget that grappling is a part of the game. Now, do I want to see a 5-round wrestle fuck for the BMF belt? No, I don't. I'm right there with you. I want to see some stand-up action. But if, let's say, Max is putting it on him on the feet, and all of a sudden Charles jumps on, is hurt or whatever, and he jumps on Max's back and strangles him, that just means that in that moment, Charles was the badder motherfucker, because he's getting beat up, and all of a sudden, in just that fast, the fight's over, and Charles is winning. Like, he's the badder motherfucker. Like, I don't want the BMF belt to become Rock'em Sock'em Robots, where it's like there's no grappling allowed. Like, because then it's just like you might as well watch boxing.
I was gonna say, because to me, that's what differentiates the BMF belt from any of the other belts. Any of the other belts for the divisions, it is the all-around skill set.
Okay.
Where BMF, I'm expecting you to be the hard as nails bar brawler type of shit. That, to me, that's what baddest motherfucker means.
Okay.
That no matter what happens, you're gonna stand there and may the best man come out and win.
Okay, so let's do a little history lesson then. Let's do a little deep dive. Where did the BMF belt come from?
Oh God, I forgot now. What
was the first BMF title fight?
Oh, wasn't it one of the Diaz brothers there?
It was Nate versus who?
Was that McGregor?
No.
I don't remember.
Jorge Masvidal.
Okay.
It was Nate versus Masvidal. Did that fight go to the ground? Yes, it did. It went to the ground. Nate tried to work, his jiu-jitsu game and also strike from the ground. Like, it started off as a stand-up affair, but Nate took it to the ground and didn't have a problem with that. Like, and Masvidal didn't have a problem following him down to the ground. Why? Because it's a fight. A fight goes where it goes, right? And like, so to me, I hope that this is a good illustration of my point, right? The point that I'm trying to make, because I don't. This is why I asked you about your opinion of the BMF belt, because everybody has their own kind of opinion of what the BMF belt is, what it represents, how it should be fought. For me, the BMF belt is about the person, not the fight, right? Like, the BMF is only available to certain people in my mind, and it's the people that are absolute dogs. Like, they don't go in there to try to point fight their way to victory. They're like, they will slug it out if they have to, or they'll strangle you. They'll do whatever they have to do, right? But they're looking for the finish. They're always looking to finish a fight rather than win by decision on points, right? So like a guy like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, in my opinion, is not fighting for the BMF belt, right? Like, it's guys like, let me see, a good example. Gopuria would be a good example to fight for the BMF belt. I think Alexandre Pantoja would be a good person to fight for the BMF belt. Yair Rodriguez would be a good guy to fight for the BMF belt. Diego Lopez, guys who are in there to finish, and they're tough guys, right? Like, they're not going to let a cut stop them. They're not. So for me, the BMF belt is about the people fighting more than how the fight actually goes. unless somebody comes in there and just tries to wrestle fuck a 5-round decision. Then to me, that's like kind of weak, dude. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the reason that the BMF belt was created was because Masvidal and Diaz were the two baddest motherfuckers. They weren't the best fighters. Like, they weren't even champions in their own division, right? But they were the baddest motherfuckers because you knew they're coming to kill you, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can beat them by decision, but they're coming to kill you. They're not coming to win a decision and get their hand raised. They're coming to take you out. And to me, that's what the BMF belt is about. So for that reason, Charles has the most finishes in UFC history.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you're looking for BMF for finishers, I can't argue with that type of logic. It's just so hard for me to divorce the idea that the baddest motherfucker isn't the two guys with their legs planted in the ring.
Yeah, I totally get it. Your opinion is not, you're not the only one with that opinion. Like, I would probably venture that the majority of fans look at the BMF belt that way, right? They look at it like it's the stand and bang belt. Like, we're going to sit here and we're going to trade, and whoever wins, right?
Just like I don't really want to see jiu-jitsu and wrestling for the BMF. I don't want to see a technical boxing match either. I don't want the guys dancing around the ring, none of that. I want to see just for pure toughness.
Yeah. So like that Khalil Roundtree versus Yuri fight would have been an excellent BMF title fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, would have been a great, even though Khalil for the first 2 rounds was very technical, right?
Mm-hmm. They were still engaging for it. Wasn't like a guy sitting there out there riding on his bicycle.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Which I'm not against the technical boxing in that aspect and all that. But for the specifics of BMF belt, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, BMF belt has traditionally stayed at 155. It's like, if you look at all the people that have held the BMF belt, it's been only 155ers, you know? So it's...
Now, I've heard some rumblings, and I don't agree with it, but what if it was one of those where it's almost unlimited weight class, where you guys don't have like a catch weight or something like that? What you come in as is what you come in as.
It would never get sanctioned in today's MMA. The health risks to the lighter fighter would never get sanctioned, in my opinion. Not in the UFC, at least. Like, there could be an organization that could possibly come along and have no weight classes. But even then, I think any athletic commission is, because the goal is to have as evenly matched of, you know, with weight, with you know, and people already cut so much weight. I don't think you'll ever see that. Although that would be the real baddest motherfucker, right? Like,
that's kind of my point with it a bit, is what if you don't have guys cutting weight whatsoever, and it's just whatever you think your peak performance weight is, that's what you're coming in as.
Well, but see, the thing is that it goes back to that old saying that is in boxing: a good big man will always beat a good small man. You know, like, if the skill level is equal, the bigger man is always going to win, right? Because of the weight. It's one of those things where you would have heavyweights coming in squashing 55ers, dude. You know, and that wouldn't be entertaining. Like, is the baddest motherfucker really the guy that's 265 squashing a 55er? You know, now granted, you have the chance that 55er could knock the heavyweight out, and then he really would be the baddest motherfucker.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say there'd be no denying it at that point.
Well, see, we're going back to UFC 1 again. Like, look at Royce Gracie and the size of the guys he fought, like Chemo.
I was going to say, that's exactly what was in my mind as I was talking about this.
I'm sure it was. That was in anybody who's watched UFC for a while. like, and knows about its inception, everybody was thinking the same thing. Like, remember Hoist Gracie, how he used to beat guys that were 400 pounds? Like, yeah. Like, and that's why Hoist Gracie was the baddest motherfucker for a long time, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, but this is where we got to give a little bit of context. This is pretty much when jiu-jitsu got introduced to the mainstream was from Hoist Gracie in those original UFCs. So these guys never saw anything like that.
And what if I told you, did you know that the Gracies are the ones who actually put on that first UFC?
Oh, I didn't know that one. The
Fertittas didn't buy UFC until like 2002 or 2003. Them and Dana White, they bought the UFC then. The Gracies originally owned Hoist's side of the family, not Carlson's, originally owned the UFC, and they started the UFC. And what if I told you that the entire reason that they started the UFC was, and they chose Hoist as their fighter, was so that they could show that jiu-jitsu was the best of all the styles. Because remember, in UFC, in the original, it was like you had a karate fighter versus a jiu-jitsu guy, a boxer versus a shoot fighter, right? Everybody had specific styles. Nobody was well-rounded mixed martial artist. You didn't have a guy who was like, a kickboxer / jiu-jitsu guy. He was either a jiu-jitsu guy or a kickboxer. And that was the whole purpose behind the original UFC, was to demonstrate that Brazilian jiu-jitsu was the most practical, the best combat martial art that existed. And Hoist proved that for a while, right?
So is it almost like the original UFC was like a long-form commercial for their school? Or was it just that, hey, I want jiu-jitsu to be more respected?
It was both. It was more that they wanted to bring jiu-jitsu into the mainstream, right? To any martial artist, if you're always going to feel like your art is the best art, right? Now that if you're a true martial artist, you're going to recognize that there's good stuff in many arts. Right. Mm-hmm. There are concepts or techniques that you could borrow from many martial arts that will help you. Right. In fact, look at mixed martial arts. Like nowadays, you got guys, you got to train Muay Thai, you got to train jiu-jitsu, you got to train technical boxing, you got to train wrestling, you got to be well-rounded in all these things to have a chance in today's MMA. But you always are going to kind of feel like your art is the best art, right? And so they felt like jiu-jitsu is the best art, and they wanted a chance to prove it. And so they started the UFC. Now, did they know that as soon as Hoist started winning all these tournaments, fighting 3 times a night against absolute monsters, roided out monsters, because there was no drug testing. There were no rules. You could hit in the balls. You could fight. You could do almost anything in those things. Literally anything. There were no rules, right? You could kick a guy in the face when he was down. You could stomp on his balls. Like, there was no rules. And Hoist came out on top. Did they know that they were going to have people lining up at their gyms? Of course they did. They had to. They had to have some kind of idea that if Hoist, won these tournaments, that it was going to grow their membership, grow their students. But they also took a tremendous risk, because you're fighting a 300-pound guy. There's always the chance that he's going to land that punch that's going to knock you cold, dude. Like, whether you're Hoist Gracie or not, there's always a chance that, it's a fight. Anything could happen. What if a big old wrestler would have came in and grabbed Hoist and dropped him on his head, and that's the end of the fight? The Gracies took a huge risk, and they deserve to be rewarded for that risk, right? In my opinion, like, Hoist wasn't guaranteed to win, and so yeah, I think they took a gamble. They believed in their art enough to say, like, we're willing to test it. Like, we're willing to see, if jiu-jitsu really stacks up against all these other martial arts, and it did. But they already kind of knew, because Carlson Sr., he was fighting Vale Tudo, and a bunch of his guys were fighting Vale Tudo for years. I don't know if you know what Vale Tudo is, but in Brazil, Vale Tudo is basically a street fight.
Okay.
Like, it's UFC. It's UFC 1 without gloves. Like,
gotcha.
Or maybe with gloves now, but it's like, you can kick in the face, you can rake eyes, you can kick balls, you can do whatever you want, dude. It's, like it's rough, dude. And a lot of Carlson's guys came up through Vale Tudo. They would go out and fight Vale Tudo for the same purpose that Hoyce's side of the family created the UFC, because they were trying to show that Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was the best that there could be. So they would go out and they would fight these Vale Tudo champions, and they would kick their ass. Guys like, like Hickson, they would go out and they would kick these guys' ass, and then everybody'd be like, damn, dude, like Carlson Jiu-Jitsu is legit. Like, you see how he kicked the shit out of that guy? So, yeah. But that was one of those things that I wanted to break, was that Charles wants to fight Max for his last fight, but there's also Kamaru Usman is he's talking about he wants the winner of Jack Della Maddalena and Islam, but there's talk that he could end up getting Shavkat when Shavkat comes back. So, I mean, that dude, take my money. Would you not want to see that fight, Kamaru Usman and Shavkat Rakhmonov?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I'm a little worried because Shavkat's coming off injury. I think the thing for him is it's not boxing. There are no tune-up fights. He's going to come in and he's going to be right back to fighting top 5 contenders, or a title shot. But I wish he could get one fight in there where he could get his feet back under him, But yeah, that looks like it could be a great fight. Hamzat, we talked about Hamzat. He called out Alex Pereira after Alex knocked out Ankalaev, but Alex was like, nah, thanks for the congratulations, but I want to go up and fight John Jones. But really quickly, I want to ask you, which of those two fights interests you more? Hamzat versus Alex, or Alex versus John Jones?
Alex versus John Jones.
So it's just immediately, you don't even have to think about it?
Absolutely. For the whole fact of we were teased this fight until he had Pereira had lost the belt there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because to me, I relatively feel like we almost got cheated out of it. Granted, yes, obviously we didn't, but with the build-up that was coming up to it beforehand, it almost felt like it was a foregone conclusion. And then Alex gets injured, loses the belt, and poof.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree that I mean, the Jones fight interests me more, but that doesn't mean that Hamzat versus Alex wouldn't interest me. I think that's an interesting fight as well. But I also feel like, Hamzat, slow down. You just won the belt. You haven't even defended it yet, right? Go get a title defense before you start trying to, it's to quote TLC, don't go chasing waterfalls, dude. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to, buddy. Go get a couple title defenses and then we'll see, prove yourself at middleweight first. Yeah, you absolutely dominated Dricus, but let's be honest, you didn't finish him. You were never there was never any real danger of you finishing him. You controlled him for 25 minutes and you did a great job with that, right? But it was a bit underwhelming for a lot of people. Now, you and I, we appreciated what we saw, the level of dominance that we saw. We're he proved he totally outclassed him, but at the same time, bro, you should go ahead and defend your belt at least once before you start trying to make super fun.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing.
Oh, we lost a Joe. How are we going to say? He should be back here real soon as we're getting close. Oh, here he is.
Stupid internet. No, actually, I hit the button. I hit the wrong button. I was trying to fix my audio, and I hit the wrong button, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm out of the show. But before the time runs out, I wanted to throw this out there also, because this is kind of interesting. So Dana White announced the other day the end of the year card, December, Merab is going to be defending his belt against Piotr Jan.
Yeah, I just seen that get announced the other day.
So Merab is going to go for 4 title defenses in a single year, right? Now, I know you and I are both like, Merab is amazing, right? But I was thinking about this take this morning, dude, and I got to tell you, I don't like this fight for Merab. Here's why. I know that Merab is a cardio machine. I know what is going to come in and try to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Petr Yan is a pretty good wrestler. He has good takedown defense, and he also has really good technical boxing, and he has real power.
Here's the thing. The part I would give to him.
Yeah, the technical boxing for sure, and the power. But here's my thing. Here's why I don't like it for Merab. Is I would like to see Merab, if you're going to fight Yan, I want to see Merab have a whole training camp. Like, he's coming in 6 weeks of training, dude. You know what I mean? And he's basically banking on the fact that he already beat Petr Yan before, but Yan is saying, like, I was 50% for that fight. Like, you're going to see a different fight this time. And Yan has been training. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Yan has been training. Whether it's training for Merab or not, I don't know. But you got to think that even when Yan is training for other fighters, like, he's been training for Merab too, because he knows where the title is and he knows where it's going to be. So he's like, you would think that after he lost that fight, that he's like, okay, I know what I need to work on. And so I don't like this fight for Merab. Like, I would feel a lot more confident about it if Merab had a full training camp going into the fight. Well, a full training camp where he focused only on Petr Yan.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I'm not saying Merab's going to lose,
mm-hmm.
but I think this is the most danger to his title that we've seen since he won it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but Sandhagen sure had a hell of a lot of hype going into this fight against Merab, where a lot of people were saying that about that fight.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they were saying that. Maybe they were. Maybe some people were. Sandhagen's striking is so versatile that it was dangerous, right? That was the thing, was like, is he going to hit a flying knee? Is he going to throw a spinning elbow? That was the dangerous part. No, this is dangerous because is Petr Yan going to land a right hand that's just going to put Merab out cold? Because Merab has been caught many times. He's been clipped and he's managed to survive, right? Because they didn't connect just that little extra percentage of power right on the chin. Yan has that kind of power, and Yan has very good punch accuracy too. Like, he's sort of, I don't want to say overlooked. I think people respect Petr Yan, but I don't know. I'm actually worried for Merab in this fight. Like, let's just say that. Like, I'm worried that he's coming in thinking that he's fighting the Petr Yan he fought the first time. And meanwhile, Petr Yan's been in the lab, you know what I mean? Like, and he's been training specifically for Merab how to land that shot. And so I'm not saying Merab's going to lose, but I think this is the most jeopardy that his title has been in since he won it. I really think this is going to – Petr Yan is a live dog in this fight. It's going to be an interesting fight. And we'll talk about it more next week because we're out of time. But thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Share it. Share the link with your friends. We're trying to obviously grow our viewership. But thank you guys for joining us. Ken, you got anything to say before we go out?
No, other than we will see y'all next Wednesday.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friend.